Hello, I'm Nick Baker, your host for Where's Australia Going? Today our topic is national population in transition. Our guest is Professor Charles Chips O'Toole. He holds the Mick Dundee Chair in Economics at the Australian National University in Canberra and is considered a leading expert on population trends and demographic transitions. He serves as the Senior Technical Advisor to the Australian Census Commission. Professor O'Toole, it's an honor to have you.
Nick, it's great to be here. I'm a fan of your show, and thanks for having me. By the way, I feel like I know you, so let's be informal. No titles. Call me Chips.
Very well, Chips. Tell me how you got into the study of population and demographics.
Well, to be honest, when I was a youngster, I used to hear my parents rail against all the immigrants who were coming here, even though it seemed like every immigrant we met was a nice person. So by the time I got to college, I kept asking myself, what's so bad about immigration? The more I read about it, the more I realized it can be a good thing.
Why are population trends so important, especially in a country like Australia that has so much empty space? We could easily fit 10 times as many people in this country without feeling crowded in the least.
No, well, that's just it, Nick. Population trends are closely linked to the economic well-being of a country. We can see this in many countries throughout the world. Developing countries in the third world face issues with high birth rates, while countries like Japan and Italy suffer the opposite, a declining birth rate and a rapidly aging population.
Where does Australia fit in all of this?
Great question, mate. Australia is between these two extremes, but we have the risk of becoming more like Japan. The numbers do not lie. Australia's birth rate has nearly been cut in half from 22 births per thousand in 1960 down to 12 births per thousand in 2015. Although the death rate has declined a bit, the birth rate is declining at a much faster speed. Fortunately, so far, the population of Australia is still growing. However, this is largely due to immigration.
I see. It sounds like we're in good shape.
Well, for the time being, but this could change. As our population ages, our current median age of 37.4 is expected to rise to 41.5 by the year 2050. As the population ages, the crude death rate will increase. We could end up in a similar situation to Japan. This is what population experts call the dreaded stage 5 of the demographic transition model, where an aging population is dependent on a shrinking number of working age individuals to support them.
That sounds scary to me, with all the young people having to spend all their time and money caring for the older people.
Well, no worries, Nick. We've studied these problems extensively, and there's plenty we can do to prevent this. The Australian Census Commission has made several critical recommendations to Parliament on these issues.
Huh, what can we do?
The first recommendation addresses our declining birth rate. In short, Australia needs more babies. We need to encourage childbearing by providing liberal family and maternity leave for young parents. We need to expand maternal health programs and provide cost-effective and easily accessible childcare. Tax incentives for young families would go a long way for stabilizing and increasing our birth rate.
What else can be done?
Immigration has been fundamental for Australia's development, just as it has for countries like the US and Brazil. We've had liberal policies on immigration for most of our history, but the immigration rate had dropped by 2/3 in the 1970s and 80s, and has only gradually started to rise since the 2000s. As you know, immigration policies can be very divisive, as we've seen in the cases of recent refugees being denied entry and diverted off to offshore islands. Regardless of your political leanings, we need to come together as a nation and agree on a rational and comprehensive immigration policy, because immigration is a component of boosting population, which we need.
What are you going to do about all these old people?
Oh, the old people. Well, we need to plan now for an aging population. We need to keep older workers in the workforce for as long as possible by offering, for example, tax incentives and workplace accommodations. In addition, we need to develop a strong network of care for seniors that allows them to remain in their homes. we need to ensure the financial stability for Social Security and superannuation schemes, or what you Americans like to call a 401k.
Well, that's all we have time for today, Chips. I want to thank you for coming on the show. We can talk about the benefits of high population next time.
Thanks, Nick.